I've got the QF009 SU-35 out here again this morning. I've got it handling pretty well with the TX16S. It's kind of breezy, kind of gusty out here today, so I won't be able to get any more tuning in yet until we get calmer conditions, but let's see how it handles. I'm launching in fully stabilized mode. Okay, we're in 3D mode now. This jet is all still stock except for I removed the landing gear and put landing skids on it. Put some markings on the wings to make it a little bit easier to see. And I widened the battery bay a little bit so I could use some additional batteries in it. But 3D mode in pretty breezy conditions, it seems to be doing pretty well, guys. Now I've noticed the last flight that had on it, I had the motor cut out on it like 4 times during one flight, and it happened pretty quickly. It happened pretty quickly, so I don't think that it is, I don't think it was heat that was causing it, you know? Because it happened so quickly after I launched it. I just don't think that this motor and this ESC were timing well. So I want to see if it happens during this flight, because I just tried to program the throttle stick with the ESC right before I launched it. So we'll see how that works out. But 3D mode looks pretty darn stable. I'm flying it with the TX16S. It's a joy to fly with the TX16S. As long as you've got a little bit of speed, the rolls are nice, tight, and axial. It seems to hold its position pretty well. It's got pretty decent power. We'll do a roll to the right. So if you watched the previous video where I first set it up with the TX16S and I was trying to get it trimmed out, what it looks like to me, because I had quite a bit of sub trim in the radio for the elevator because it wanted to climb, and it almost looks like in fully stabilized mode it takes my trim, whether it's trim or whether it's sub trim, and it subtracts it from the total movement of the control surface deflection. And then when you put it in 3D mode, it's like it adds it all back, which was why when I had it in when I put it into 3D mode, I had very little elevator when I was in fully stabilized mode, and then when I put it in 3D mode with the TX16S, it just all of a sudden pointed up at the sky. Aren't those rolls nice? And once I mechanically trimmed the elevators and removed my trim in the radio, all of a sudden it started behaving fine in stabilized mode and a 3D mode. So it looks to me like with this plane, with this stock gyro, you need to do your trim mechanically rather than doing it in the radio if you're going to use a multi-protocol transmitter. That's what it looks like to me. But it's got pretty decent power. I have not heard the motor cut out yet, so that's good. I'm gonna see if that takes care of it. I'm gonna see if it was just a timing issue. Oh no sooner did I say it than it just cut out. So I think what I'm going to do, just to make sure that there's no heat causing that, I'm going to cut some air vents in that fuselage. Right where the main board, I think the ESC is probably built on the board. And I don't think it's getting a lot of airflow the way that compartment is set up. I just don't think it's getting much airflow. But look at that, isn't that cool? That is a very maneuverable little jet, and then in 3D mode, it handles just fine with the TX16S, and I was able to hang on to it for a while in 3D mode with the stock transmitter. But it handles so well with the hobby grade transmitter, even in 3D mode. 3D mode is the way I like to fly it. I use fully stabilized mode to launch it and fully stabilized mode to land it typically. But that is pretty cool. Check that out. That is a good climb out. And I think I'm going to, I mean, the prop that they've got on it works really well. It has quite a bit of power, for a little factory 2S Parkjet. And it gets a tremendous amount of flight time. But I'll be testing some different props on it just to see if I can find anything that works better with it. You never know. You never know till you try. Look how tight and axial that roll was. But, very cool little jet. Yeah, there goes the motor again. So I think there's a couple of design issues that need to be taken care of, like air venting for one on that main board and ESC. I didn't want to have to just fly it with the 2 stock lipos that I've got, so I did modify the battery bay a bit, so that I could fit some other batteries in it. Okay, so I just put it back into stabilized mode. Let's see if we can bring it in and land it into the wind here. And this thing has an excellent glide. So I'm just about off the throttle completely. I just dropped it. We're gonna have to launch it again and get a better landing than that. I just tossed that straight out, guys. Just tossed it straight out. I'm going to back up so we can get it in frame here. Tossed it straight out with about 70 to 75% throttle. It takes off pretty nice. Not a problem. Alright, so let's see if we can put it down a little more gently. That was better. I gotta get my flare down. But that was a lot better. I think my landing skids are going to work out just fine. That's a wrap on this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time in the Tinkerz Lab.